Okay, so in the previous lecture we learnt about the fundamentals of bonding without getting into any quantitative treatment. We will do some quantitative treatment as and when we learn about those solids and their structures a little later in the course. So for the sake of simplicity, let me just brief that covalently bond energy is a function, bond energy determines properties like melting point, coefficient of thermal expansion and elastic modulus. And higher the bond energy, higher the melting point, higher the modulus is going to be, and lower the coefficient of thermal expansion going to be. Now bonding is one factor in determining the structure of materials. So what is the one very important factor, and this basically determines, so when you do calculations to predict the structure of materials, you have to consider that particular aspect. So now let us move on to the structure of materials. By structure first, coming from bonding we move to the atomic structure of materials. So here in this lecture and onwards we will learn about what we call as atomic structure of materials, and the objective of this is basically to learn how are atoms arranged in space. Of course, there is whole mathematics which is behind determining the structures, but we will not get into that mathematics right now. So how are these atoms arranged in space? What do we mean by a crystal structure, crystal and structure, and what is the basis? Okay. So before we get into this, we know that since you have atoms, they are connected by various bonds, but now the question is how are these atoms spaced in the universe, or how are they placed in the space. So before we talk of atoms, we just start with random points in space. So we just look at first the points in space. Replace the atoms by points. So there are various methods by which you can do that. The points may be spaced like this, or the points may be spaced like that. These are just two illustrations, there are various other possibilities. So in one situation you have a distribution which is random. In this case, what do you call it? You will call it periodic or regular. At least you can see a pattern there on the right side, but you can't see a pattern here on the left side. So here it is random without any periodicity, you can say lack of periodicity. Most materials in nature, with the exception of few, tend to have atoms arranged in regular fashion. So when you look at the atomic structure, you will see that atoms are placed in space in a very regular pattern. And where did the motivation behind come from? The motivation come from the works of some previous scientists. For example, there was a scientist called as Steno. Okay, Steno was a scientist who lived between 1638 to 1686. You can see he only lived for very short time. He made drawings of things like quartz, and he made drawings of things hematite, and what he did was he made these kind of drawings. Okay, he made these regular shapes. Now these shapes, many of them he drew, not only these. So I am going to draw only a few of them. So he made these shapes because he observed that crystals, they tend to have certain shapes, and there is a constancy about the face angles. Some of these angles that you see here, they tended to have certain relations with each other. you could fit these angles into a mathematical framework and get an order about these angles, and there was relation between these angles. So Stono was the first one of the first guys to observe that crystals have certain geometrical patterns about them, and the angles of faces and edges can have correlations. And then later on in calcite crystals, this was the work of Huygens, okay, who was from 1629 to 1695. Again, people did not live long in those days, only 66 years he lived. So calcite crystal, for example, had a peculiar sort of geometry. It had a geometry like that. So this sort of geometry forced scientists at that time to think that if a calcite crystal macroscopically can have such a regular shape, then what must be about the atoms sitting inside the crystal? So perhaps it is also because the atoms in this are also sitting in a ordered fashion, in something like that. I am not saying it is exactly like that, but there must be some order about the atoms which are sitting inside, so that it is only because the atoms, if the atoms are sitting inside in a regular fashion, the crystal itself would manifest in a regular shape. So this was the underlying basis of why, so you can say that first thought was regular shape of crystals is probably due to regular arrangement of atoms in crystals. So these were some earlier indications of why atoms could be arranged in a periodic fashion in space. So that is where, when I come back to again my picture, so you have distribution like this. So we replace the atoms with points, and then of course you have something like that. So this is non-periodic, this is periodic, okay. And if I put atoms here instead of points, I make a crystal basically. So in this crystal, considering atoms as spherical in nature. So this would be, so this has no long range periodicity. Such materials are also called as amorphous, and the materials in which this kind of periodicity is there, these are called as crystalline. So amorphous materials are typically things like glasses, but all other materials almost, okay, I would not say all of them, but almost all of them. So all others almost are crystalline in nature, which have periodic arrangement of atoms, okay. So in this case you had a random arrangement of points without any periodicity in the structure. Here you had periodic or regular arrangement of points. So in this case I call it that there is no, so every point has different neighborhood, right? Can I say that? Every point in this has different neighborhood. Is that a correct statement to make? Because each point is randomly distributed in space, there is no correlation of lengths and angles and directions. As a result, if I look around myself, there are 4 guys, if 4 guys a certain distance, certain angles, but if another guy close to me looks at his surroundings, he finds that there could be 5, there could be 6, and at different angles and directions. So, coordination number will be different, but coordination number is something which is defined by fixed distances. Okay. In this case, even the distance is not fixed. So, there is no fixed coordination number here. So, it is better to say that every point has different neighborhood. Okay. In this case, when you stand at point A or when you stand at point B, you see the same arrangement, right. So, each point has identical neighborhood, right. All right. So, now, that is first thing that now let me make another structure which may look periodic in nature, but it is still not periodic. So, let me draw something here. Okay. Okay. Now, if I let us say stand at point A and if I stand at point B, do they have identical neighborhood? This is a hexagonal arrangement. Okay. This is a hexagonal arrangement. It's, I mean, it's not very precise here, but it's kind of hexagonal in nature. For A, you have one neighbor on here, another neighbor here, another neighbor here. For B, you have one neighbor here, another neighbor here, another neighbor here. So, number of neighbors is same, but is the arrangement of neighbors same? It is not. For A, you see two neighbors on the left at certain angle and certain direction, and one neighbor on the right at in certain direction. The distances are same, but the directions are different. For B, you see two neighbors on the right, one on the left. Okay. So, it is kind of a mirror image, but it is not identical. So, this is not a, so let me now make another modification to this. Okay. The modification is, so okay. Now, let me put a point here. So, you have a point A and you have point B. Do they have identical neighborhood now? A and B both. They now have identical neighborhood. So, I would say merely having a periodic arrangement, apparent periodic arrangement is not fine, the identical neighborhood has to be obeyed. So, I would say this structure is not a lattice, this is the lattice. So, by definition, when points arrange themselves in space in such a fashion, so that the arrangement is periodic and every point has identical neighborhood, these two conditions qualify that arrangement as a point lattice. So, this is called as a point lattice. Okay. So, the two definitions are periodic, periodicity, and identical neighbor. Okay. So, these are two distinct scenarios. Now, let me, so once we define a periodic lattice in this fashion, let me draw a periodic lattice. So, this is a periodic lattice. Okay. In this periodic lattice, I can draw a smallest repeating unit. This is the smallest repeating unit. This is called as this is called as unit cell. Okay. However, let me and these and the sides of this unit cell are called as unit cell parameters. So, if this is A, this is B, this is gamma. So, these will be A, B and gamma. So, A, B are the lengths, gamma is the angle between the two edges. These are called as unit cell parameters. Okay. Now, the question is the choice of this unit cell unique? I can also make a unit cell like that. Basically, all you have to have a smallest repeating unit. This is also a smallest repeating unit. It has the same area as the other one. In fact, if you make this one here, and if I put a point somewhere here, this is also a valid unit cell. So, the choice of unit cell is not unique. Choice of units, the unit cell, these are all unit cells. So, which one do you choose? You choose the one with the highest symmetry. So, that is why the concept of symmetry comes into picture. So, one chooses an unit cell with highest symmetry, and we will see what is the meaning of this highest symmetry. As of now, you can just assume that whatever looks symmetric to you is that of with highest symmetry, but we will come to the definition of the symmetry in a short while, maybe perhaps in the next lecture. So, you can have similar arrangement in 3D, similar arrangement in 3D. So, it will make a unit cell which is a 3D unit cell, and in 3D you will have lattice parameters as A, B, C and alpha, beta, gamma. So, basically it will look something like that, a parallelogram. Right, A, B, C, and the angles, this is first angle, this is another angle and this is another angle. These are three angles. So, between A and B you will have gamma, between B and C you will have alpha and the beta. So, if this is a periodic structure, this will be a 3D unit cell of a material. So, basically the unit cell requires few points for description. So, descriptive first thing you need to measure its size and shape. Size and shape is determined by alpha, beta, gamma and A, B, C. What is the other thing that you require? Now, if you replace the points by atoms, points are taken for the sake of convenience, because atoms can make it a little complicated. You may not have just one type of atom, you may have different types of atoms. So, that is why we just begin with the point. Now, let us say we replace the point by an atom, an identical atom. Okay. Then what we require is basically the what kind of atom, and its coordinates. Basically what we require is the fractional coordinates of the, you can say the fractional coordinates of the atoms. So, these few things are required to specify. So, if I replace these points by atoms here, so these are all atoms. So, to describe the unit cell you require these positions to be known. Now we have seen, so A, B, C are the lattice parameters, alpha, beta, gamma are the interaxial angles or angles between the edges. The unit cell can also be defined in a little bit more quantitative manner. So, if you have a arrangement of points like this in a space, you have to define first a origin. Okay, let us say this is the origin O, okay, and then here you can choose a lattice vector R, and this R can be defined as N1 A1 plus N2 A2 plus N3 A3 in the 3D, or here you can just in 2D you can take. So, if you have a lattice vector, let us say R, this is R. So, now you have these two vectors you can define. So, these two vectors will make the unit cell. Alternatively, you could have chosen your vector as this, another vector as that. So, this will be the periodic vector which will construct the lattice. So, depending upon the choice of lattice vector, you can create these arbitrary unit cells. Okay, you can have this one as well. So, there are various choices by which you can make the these unit cells, but as we discussed, as we just talked about earlier, it is the symmetry of that unit cell which will determine which has to be taken as an equilibrium unit cell. So, now what is the difference between the lattice and crystal? Can you tell me what is the difference between lattice and crystal? Okay. Okay, but what is the definition?
Lattice plus motif make a crystal.
Okay, so lattice is only about the points in space, or you can say periodic arrangement of points in space. This is lattice. And what is a crystal? A 3D arrangement of atoms in space. Okay? So, basically you can say you start with a point lattice, and when you put atoms here, it becomes a crystal lattice. All right. So, based on this particular aspect of lattice, now within this lattice, if I go back to previous one, so I have a unit cell like this. Now, if these are all atoms, this will be called as a crystal lattice. Okay. Now, so we said that lattice plus atoms make a crystal lattice, and this atoms basically can be put in a more specific term which is called as a motif or basis, some kind of object basically. It could be one atom, it could be a group of atom, it could be random multiple types of atoms arranged at various places. So, for example, let me just again I draw a simple lattice. There will be a lot of drawings here. Okay. Now, what it can mean is I can just put a simple one atom. This is the simplest form. this is the simplest 2D lattice. I can make some change here. I can make this as a molecule. Let us say it is not just one atom which goes to a point, it is this molecule which goes to a point. So, you have replaced the points with these molecules. Does this make a lattice? Does it still retain the definition of lattice? In the previous case it did. In the previous case it did. Now that you have an atom which is, you can consider this molecule as an asymmetric atom. Okay. It is a group of atoms, right. You have a group of atom which is like this. So, the question is, does this modified motif retain the definition of lattice? Let me give you another scenario. Instead of having this, so I will draw it again little smaller. Now again I draw these atoms. Now instead of putting them in this fashion, I let us say put them in this fashion. So, these atomic arrangements now they have modified from the previous one. So, the question they raise is whether they still maintain the validity of lattice. They seem as if they are periodically arranged in the lattice, they are regularly spaced, that is not a problem. They look like as if they are following certain pattern, but the question is, do they maintain the validity of definition of lattice. So, we will discuss these aspects related to placing different kind of objects or motif in space and how do they alter the definition of lattice, and then invoke the symmetry to understand this in the next few lectures.